Welcome to another segment of Market Overdrive. I am your host, Karla Mina. Happy birthday to you, Grox. It's been a pleasure to host this show with you for how many years now?
2 and some change.
Now, right? Yeah.
With me, my co-host. Oh, there's fire. There's smoke. You were supposed to
this is
turn
it.
it off.
This is it.
You're blowing it up.
Oh, boy.
How are you, Nick?
Oh, it's my birthday, too?
No, it's not.
It's my birthday every day except for
birthday,
Graco's
we're not
birthday.
going to do anything special.
Come on.
What's today's topic?
Today's topic is luxury, which is always a fun topic to discuss. Whether you're rich or not, it's fun to watch and listen and learn about this stuff. It's just interesting. In fact, I have a very funny luxury story as we speak.
Oh, please do share.
Well, see, what happened was, if you want me to, really bad. Preparing myself for a luxury show, I decided to jump in my Rolls Royce Phantom, drive into work today, and I got my glass. Oh, hold on a second. Put my glasses on.
What
driving
is
in my
wrong
Rolls
with
Royce,
you in life?
Driving in my Rolls Royce Phantom today, and I pull
We're
up to
doing
the
this?
stoplight. I pull up to the stoplight, and I see another Rolls Royce right there, and I say, "Excuse me, sir, but do you have any?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute,
Is this real?
is that a 2013?" It is 2018. You're driving a 2013 Rolls Royce. So I said, "That's not fancy enough. Don't even bother giving me the Grey Poupon. It's probably expired."
Is this
And
a true story?
then I put my cars away, my model cars away into the closet and came to work. That's my luxury story.
Did I really need to hear that today?
You know Nick loves luxury.
I don't care what Nick loves. This is
I'm
a show about
just
real
teasing.
estate.
It is about real estate, but all things luxury and real estate and luxury, you're going to hear some crazy things today, I'm sure.
Of course. Why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest, Graco?
Well, today we have in studio Rich Kasper and I just got a brain freeze, forgive me.
Wow.
Rachel Montiel. I'm so sorry, Rachel.
It's okay.
Oh,
Rich Kasper.
Wow, Rachel. It's all right.
Sorry, though.
You make him nervous. I love it. Did you see that, Graco?
I had cake on my fingers. Come
you had
on.
cake on your fingers. I get nervous when there's cake on my fingers all the time.
I would get nervous if I'm sitting to such a beautiful realtor myself.
Yeah, so I apologize. But thank you guys for coming in today to talk a little bit about your luxury market and what you guys are currently putting out on the market for new home buyers in the luxury scene. Tell us a little bit about your brokerage and your team.
Sure.
Because you guys have an amazing marketing.
You got to step
squad
up to the
there.
mic. Step up to the mic.
got
Get
it.
close to
Okay,
that thing. There you go.
So I'm one of the partners over at Conlon Real Estate. We've been in existence since 2010, so just about 7 years now we've come into being. We've got 6 offices throughout the city, 4 in the city immediately, and then 1 in Hinsdale, 1 in Winnetka. We've got about 245 agents. We don't want to be the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but what we want to be is the one who's educated and who's smart about the real estate market and be able to treat your business as though it's your biggest investment, and that's what we believe it is.
Good, not grand.
Correct.
Good, not
Good,
grand.
not grand.
There you go.
I've been doing this now for about 22 years. Didn't think I would be ever a real estate agent, but here I am 22 years later. We primarily focus in on new construction. That's been the bulk of my business for probably 19 of those 22 years.
Awesome.
So, Rich Kasper, what's it like working for a boss named Rich Kasper of the Rich Kasper Group?
He
Is he a cool guy?
He's can't keep anything straight.
Trick question.
He's constantly confused about life, but he knows his business once he's in tune.
All right, let me rewind that. Rachel, what's it like working for a guy named Rich Kasper? Or working
Super.
with a guy named Rich Kasper? I hate the word working for. I like working with. I've never been a fan of for.
I like
He
that too.
hates it
Yeah.
too.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I really I love working for Rich. I love being an agent in his office and on his team. He is the salt of the earth. So he has the patience of a saint. And I think my main role is keeping him organized and just backing him up whenever
I like
the
it.
need arises.
So, luxury obviously has to be a part of your day-to-day game plan, and it's where you seems like you excel because you're here doing the show about luxury. You're dealing with it quite a bit. Why go down this route versus just the common ground? I should say the most norm is the traditional stuff. Your $250,000 homes. Why specialize in the rare, if you will?
It kind of organically got there. Originally, it was homes in East Village. It was condos that were 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Anywhere as far south is probably well, right now we're looking into some stuff at Pilsen, but originally it was stuff as far as south of Chicago Avenue. At that time, he didn't travel farther south than Chicago Avenue, as far north as Irving Park. Throughout the years, it definitely changed organically, and those same builders who were doing 3-unit condo buildings are now doing upper-end single families because that's where their business took them. And most of these guys we've worked with for that amount of time. So we help them in the initial beginnings of their business. So when they were new to building, we were the ones that got them a bank introduction and helped them get the financing to build. We were the ones that brought them the land and figured out the numbers and how they could work so they could see that there was a profit at the end of what they did. And in tune, one project became another. And as their business grew, so did ours.
So you didn't start out 22 years ago saying, I just want to work on big fancy homes. It just happened.
There weren't really big fancy homes 22 years ago.
No, I mean, there's always been big, that Grey Poupon commercial I was referencing is like 50 years old. So there was big fancy homes.
That is true.
But some people, I have loan officers and, agents, real estate brokers have agents, and you get the new ones coming in and they start saying, this is what I want to do, and it's good to hear a story where, you just wanted to learn the craft of selling real estate, and then it evolved. Some people specifically want to really beat that drum and focus on it.
Sure.
And it's like, I don't think it always works out like that for some people. It's easier said than done.
I think history helps. I've been with Sean Conlon, who's the namesake of our company now, for 20 of the 22 years I've been doing this.
Who's going to be on our show in October? Did anybody know
he
that?
is? Yeah. I
think he's going to be on our show.
Great.
Yeah, we just lined that up. He's coming on our show in October, I think.
Super.
I think.
Good.
So, cool.
So I've been with him for 20 years out of the 22, and we actually had one of the same mentors a long time ago, a gentleman by the name of Kel Goldberg, who pretty much just said, go knock on doors. Doesn't matter what you say, just go knock on doors. And introduce yourself and hand out your card, because anybody can send out a mailer.
Bootstrap.
I get them all the time.
Yeah.
You've got to go introduce yourself and get in front of people. You never know where that's going to lead to. In East Village, I'll give you a quick story. I was talking to an older lady. I was there probably once a month, knocking on the door. And one thing led to another. She wasn't selling her house, but she finally gave me the number of a friend who was. So I went and introduced myself to her. I was able to sell her house to a builder, and in turn, that turned into a development.
So we're obviously now in fourth quarter, right? We just celebrated a holiday. Kids are back to school, and everybody follows that trend for, single family. You're catering to families. The families are now, their kids are back in school, so they're settled in where they think they're going to be. Where do you think the market is? Are we seeing, did the market get soft all of a sudden, or are we still seeing a very, very vital market?
We're actually seeing the market pick up in activity. Historically in Chicago, our downtime is midsummer.
Okay.
As you know. And usually, historically, after Labor Day, we'll pick up and go strong until Thanksgiving, and then after Thanksgiving, we'll die off. Really depending on the market. Last year, after the election was over, didn't matter who won or lost, we got busy because the chaos was over, right? And people felt like, okay, we know what's going to happen moving forward.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Right. I mean, there was when we didn't have the unexpected, right, like the increase in interest rate, everything slowed down. No one knew. The uncertainty also scared a lot of people. But I think for this year, it's definitely picked up, and it's still, the momentum is still there. Obviously, because of lack of inventory. People are still waiting and awaiting that instant gratification, turnkey product, and you guys are providing that in your single family category with new construction. So it's, it's for sure a niche market, because you're not just offering a single family opportunity, but you're also giving people what they want, which is something that's turnkey. They don't have to do anything to it. You mentioned when we were discussing earlier before the show that you focus on Albany Park. Are you doing a lot of business? Did you say Albany Park, or what neighborhood did you say you were?
No, it was.
Go ahead.
Oh no, Lakeview,
Lakeview?
Russell Village,
Okay.
North Center.
Oh, duh. Okay,
Lincoln
North Center.
Park.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're in the more, high-end luxury neighborhoods, North Center per se, but for sure Lincoln Park, right? Roscoe Village, Mommy Schools, Audubon, right?
Yep.
If for people who want to do that, I think what people are looking for in those areas are more like double lots. Are you still seeing that? Are you guys providing that for or is there not a lot of inventory for that?
The price point has exceeded the ability for a lot of buyers to capture that double lot. So we're seeing wider lots or 30-foot lots certainly being taken advantage of, but double lots are a rarity. And if for instance, I put 3 lots together, which were two 37.5-foot lots on Oakley for a builder that I've worked with now, my longest builder for 18 years. We put 3 lots together, and he got them subdivided to 3 25-foot lots.
Okay.
And we were able to sell those. 2 things. It gave him a better return, and they were easier to sell because it was at a price point that was more affordable for buyers.
What would you say is the entry point for a family in those neighborhoods?
1.4 for
1.4
new.
For new.
So anywhere from 1.4 to 1.7, depending on finishes, whether it's brick or frame.
Let's get off of the neighborhood specifically, and let's kind of give everybody an idea what is like specifically what do people consider luxury first of all. So to some people, a $500,000 home is significantly nicer than what they're used to, and that's understandable. Or $600,000, $700,000. What would be generally, and I know that everyone's gonna have a different opinion on this, but like as a broker, where would you say, okay, this is where luxury really starts?
I think it's about finishes, and it's about the appliance package, and what amenities. If you're in a high-rise or multi-unit building, I think the amenities that come with that building. If you look at 9 West Walton, they were offering unbelievable amenities, right? For $100,000, you get a valet parking place that you never have to reach into your pocket again to tip the guy. You probably want to make sure your car's not scratched, but that's the case. So it really depends on what comes with that building. We just sold a condo at 50 East Bellevue. It had a health club that I wouldn't call a health club. It was basically a stationary bike and some free weights.
Few stationary.
And we're considered like the cheap out of the big 3 cities as far as what luxury is. I mean, it sounds like, you didn't really give me a dollar amount there, but are we talking like 800,000 is where the term luxury starts to kick in here in the city of Chicago? Let's just stay with Chicago for a second, even though we have
I think
listeners
it's
that are
going to be
everywhere.
area specific as well.
But okay.
Because what you can get for 1.4 million, say in Roscoe Village, you're not going to get that if you go to Bridgeport and you have something new on a large lot. The price point's going to be considerably lower. So maybe you're looking at a $700,000 luxury home. I agree with Rich that it's going to come down to home finishes and
so finishes and amenities are what you guys really consider luxury over dollar amount more per se.
So walk me through a property. Obviously, we know that these are more high-end luxury neighborhoods, right? In Chicago per se, and you're talking about in the South Side, we're gonna different price point. But in Albany, these neighborhoods that you talked about, North Center and Roscoe Village, you're talking about $1 million plus homes. What do they look like? What do we get for that kind of money?
So you should come at that price point. It should be about 4,000 square feet of living space.
Nice.
Above grade?
No, so that would be inclusive of the below grade basement. Yeah. So you're probably, that being said, you're like 2,800 square feet above grade with another 12 below.
Gotcha.
At that point, it's a lower level. It's not a basement.
That's right. Never call it a basement.
Okay.
I've gotten a big trouble for calling it a lower level of basement once.
So you're talking about finishes like in the appliances are something that people are looking for. So we talk about Wolf, Miele, like what are you seeing?
Yeah, commercial grade appliances. Usually it's a Sub-Zero and Wolf package. Sometimes 2 dishwashers. The cabinets are all dovetailed in, full extension drawers, slow close mechanism, quartz countertops. A lot of can lighting. Now we're doing LED lighting.
Because see, Graco and Nick and I were having a discussion about what is luxury and what is not luxury with cabinetries. Yeah. But so it's really cool to get this information.
Where are your cabinets from?
There's a company, Amish cabinets we see quite a bit of.
See?
Amish. Okay.
It depends on the style of home, too. If you like something that's more sleek and modern.
I get it. That's
European.
fine.
Graco considers IKEA pretty luxury.
It's funny. I did sell a house that they used IKEA, and it was actually beautiful.
You could do it. You could do it.
Wait,
and then you can make it look
don't say the address
too,
because the clients that bought it are probably like, what?
I just don't put them in luxury brackets.
And above $500,000 to $600,000 price point, you put IKEA?
Yeah, depending on the location. Sure.
Oh my
So
God.
Attaboy.
if you were further west or further north,
Oh my
Rob.
goodness.
and it would be easy to call that property luxury. So that's why I don't think we look at price point and go, well, this is luxury, because
Right, no, it's more
600
about
could be
finishes.
luxury depending on where you are.
I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's what
you
you're
know-
buying for. Like, that's what you get in that price point, 600 a lot in Roscoe Village, right? Like, I mean, it's not going to be.
It's a lot,
It's
yeah.
a lot. It's not going to be turned. I mean, it's a
Correct.
tear down, right? You're kind of devastated. But of course, in those specific neighborhoods, consumers can expect higher price points. But for sure, you can find other neighborhoods that are going to give you the same amount of square footage for less amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, just specifically our market, right? We're going into fourth quarter. What would you say to somebody who was selling and didn't sell, and they're still on the market? Do you tell them to pull their property off the market, or did they stay, or are you still encouraging people to get market analysis?
Right now, we're trying to ask for price reductions and revamp the marketing. I've got several properties that sat all summer because the market was it was very slow. So we're trying to relook at those properties and see how else we can market the property, whether it needs to be staged, do we need to paint. New construction, it's ready to go. So really it's about price point and revamping the market. But I'd say you've got to stay on right now because we are starting to see activity. And I know you mentioned, people are settled, but we're starting to see buyers who are new families. So their timing is more, let's look now and be in the school district we want to be in for when our child is ready to go to school. We don't see a lot of families currently who need to be in a certain school district because their kids need to go there tomorrow. They need to go there in 2 years. But
Right.
they want to be in that school district, whatever it is. And they may not even send their kids there. They'll send their kids to a private school.
Right.
But they want to be in the school district because that's what they were told. And that being in that school district, they feel like they'll be able to retain those prices, right? We're not going to see a pullback. Sure.
Right. We always encourage people to buy properties, but think about when you're going to sell it, right? What is it going to? How is it going to sell when you put it back on the market and you're done utilizing that asset, right? I do agree with you with, like that the properties are still, people still need to go back and adjust their pricing at this time just because, I don't know, but I think market is going to soften, especially, I know that you're in a new construction category, so that may be niche and differently, but I'm advising all clients across the board, look at what the feedback has been, revise your marketing, maybe get new photos, but definitely look, because buyers today are very, very picky. They just know what they want, right? If the floor plan is not the right floor plan
they know
for them.
what they want, and
right.
they're also willing to take their time to see everything that's out there.
Right. Well, sometimes
There doesn't seem to be an urgency with buyers.
So sorry to interrupt, but in this market, there is no urgency to buy
No.
because
And even if you tell them, I've got somebody else looking at the house for a second time, they're like, all right, we'll just take it off the
They
list.
sit on the fence, and then until we get an offer, then all of a sudden
There's
you'll
less
get
people in the
someone-
market for these types
yeah,
of
but
properties.
that's interesting.
It's just not
the normal market that we're accustomed to, the $200,000, $300,000
Gone in
range.
5
They're
minutes.
gone in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And these things are just sitting.
It's a small percentage of people that can afford them.
Yeah.
But
Well, right.
bring us to the
because-
fun part. What's some of the craziest stuff you've ever seen in some of these luxury homes? Like where you think, like just to yourself, you're like, okay, this is getting ridiculous.
As far as what they offer?
Anything, whether it's an elevator, going into someone's bathroom, I don't know. Give me something.
I've sold houses with elevators in Lincoln Park
Yeah.
where you go, really, you can't climb another flight of stairs?
Well,
But there was the elevator, and it was a selling point for the family that was buying it. Certainly radiant heat in the floors, but I'm starting to see radiant heat in the floors like in the bedroom level, even though it's dual zoned, right? So there's 2 furnaces, but they do radiant heat in the bedroom floors as well. We've seen like really tricked out bathrooms with televisions.
Oh, I want one of those.
And
espresso machines.
espresso machines.
In
in the bathroom.
and a
Yeah.
and a refrigerator.
Is it right? Is the espresso machine right next to the toilet? Just answer
No.
It's not.
Okay. Just,
No, at that
No.
point,
You
would
the
want it right
toilet
next
is
to the
its own
toilet.
room.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
okay.
water
You're
closet.
disgusting.
Well, hey,
man.
there's one in the bathroom. Who
Wait,
would
why
put,
would you do that?
Why would you put it in the bathroom?
Are you serious?
I just,
Well,
Well,
because
so-
they'll have vanities there.
Right,
to get
maybe
rid of
from the
huge tub.
bedroom to through a room, like a closet or something, and then into the bathroom.
It's almost
Inside
like
the
a mini
actual-
wet bar in the bathroom.
Yeah. The idea is if you're a trader or one of those guys who get up at 5:30 in the morning, you turn the TV on and see what the market's doing. You make yourself a cup of coffee. You don't have to go downstairs to the kitchen.
Yeah, God forbid you do that.
God forbid. You could, be in the
Favorite
shower
time.
and see what the market's
Pisses
doing.
me
Not
off
that
every
you're going to
time-
get on the phone.
Every time I go to the kitchen, I get pissed off.
I get so aggravated.
Jesus Christ.
because there's no
Kitchen
food in there.
again.
But we're seeing that more consistently in the very high-end market.
Huh.
Yeah.
An espresso machine in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been in a lot of luxury homes. I've seen some weird things. What about you?
The elevator
You've never
thing
been in a
always,
house over 300,000?
No.
Makes sense.
The elevators always kill me because I don't like all the steps, all the different levels, right? Like in Lincoln Park, and I know you don't like us to talk about different neighborhoods, but this is where they live. The elevator just makes no sense to me. The media rooms, right? The TV entertainment rooms, those are super sick sometimes. Then you have wine rooms are so beautiful. When we went to the Middle Fork, right? Development. The open house was amazing, but the finishes in those homes are
that lower level of that property. Lower level. See, I did that.
Nice.
It's amazing.
You're
That man cave.
The man cave was
was
unbelievable. Gorgeous.
I had
Coach house,
I'd
too.
gone to see
Oh.
I saw a $2 million house in Oak Brook back when I was shopping for houses. And there was $5 million in wine
Whoa.
in the cellar.
Yep.
I'm like, something's wrong when you've got more wine than you do home.
Value.
But it's there. I mean, there was some like really old, it was like really? That's just insane to me. But hey, to each his own,
Some people love their wine.
Hey, you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
It's the amenities. But going back to the market trends, just so that our sellers can understand what's happening in the market, because obviously we know how you grow your business. It's always hustle, right? Making relationships. I love the fact that you said it's about door knocking versus sending mailers, because that's what a passive realtor would do. But more so for our consumers, what advice would you give them if someone's saying, I want to buy something that's luxury and I want to buy something that's new construction? How difficult is it to find that type of product?
Shouldn't be difficult at all if you have the right broker
Look at that.
that you're working with.
And then he smiles. Ding.
sound like every show we've ever done.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You fit right in.
But that being said, we do have a lot of people who walk in at open houses or call us directly because they want to save their 2.5%, right?
Right.
But they usually end up paying more money for the house. They don't get what they really
Wow,
want.
you just gave out the secret right there.
Because they don't have somebody who's looking after their best interest.
Sure.
Right, I agree with that. Everybody thinks like, well, maybe I'm going to get a better deal, but then they just feel comfortable because they want to get the finishes that they want. But what do you say to people who can't find the inventory? I mean, they're pulling. Are they going to walk up to maybe a permit that somebody's already breaking ground, and then it's a permit and the contact information for that developer there? I mean, people are getting really desperate. I mean, as realtors, we just can't find the inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have a lot of projects coming up, or?
We have quite a few projects coming up, not only with our group, but the company itself. And I think it's, if you have a broker who's working for you, they'll get on the phone and start calling other brokers that they know do this type of business. So I would call
That's
you and
really
ask you what
the
you have
edge.
coming up.
Yeah.
So that relationship, again, not only with, a relationship with a seller or a buyer, with realtors and amongst
And-
themselves makes a big difference.
Oftentimes, that's what will that's what will separate the top agents from the regular agents, because where something may not exist, they will go out and hunt for it.
Right.
So, if you have a kind of a complicated buyer and, they want something that's not out there, then you're going to call everybody. You're going to email everybody. You're going to hit people up to see what is out there and see what you can produce if it's not there.
Right. We always encourage people, and that's why we have this show, so we can advise our listeners what to do when they're trying to find something that's very niche, very specific. I mean, we have clients that are saying, hey, I just want to be in the Oscar Mayer School District, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, and this has got to be an artist loft, and in this area, obviously, of Lincoln Park, you don't see lofts very much. You see them in the West Loop, and that's a specific niche category. So when you have something like that, what do? We canvass the school and said, hey, are you looking to sell because we have a buyer that wants to move into your school? The schools won't allow you to go inside. I was like, can we put it in the school newsletter? And they're like, no. But it's important because you do have to go outside the MLS. You have to make demands of your realtor to go the extra mile, like you say. Also network, because a lot of pocket listings, properties that are not in the MLS. But don't get confused, because we're not talking about properties even in the 600 minus price point. We're talking about like those specific niche products. Everything 300, if you're priced right, you're going to sell right away. But if you're above that number, like 400, 500, I think sits on the market a little lower. And of course, what is the average time of market for what you would say Lincoln Park? I mean, it's neighborhoods that are selling fast in this category.
In the upper end market?
In the upper end market.
Unfortunately, a lot longer than anybody cares for it to be, realtors and sellers. So you're probably, unfortunately, 120 days.
Yeah. But obviously, just be a little bit more patient with your marketing, but do understand, get the feedback of what the other realtors are saying, what are the buyers saying, because you can't just confuse yourself and say, hey, I'm in this 500 price point, so I need to be on the market, say, 144 days, because that's what the market is dictating. Because still, if people are giving you feedback, then you should know that maybe it's time to stage, maybe it's time to even paint, because you're talking about new construction. Right now, every buyer wants new construction. Everybody wants to feel like it's brand new, right? But if it's an existing home, you're competing with these properties, so you have to look like it's new, right? Is that what you're seeing as far as the trends from buyers? What are they demanding?
Absolutely. We just sold a home right around the corner from our office, and we were on the market a day and a half.
Right. See?
We were priced right, but these folks 6 years ago gutted the house, and they were ahead of the time. So they had gray cabinets, they had quartz countertops. They didn't have the commercial grade appliances, but they definitely upgraded their appliances, and it was beautifully done. And we had a handful of people who came through, and we got an offer in one day.
Was that a luxury unit?
Yeah,
It's a luxury home.
So
I consider it a luxury home.
So wouldn't it be wise then to price slightly lower these properties to create that
buzz. It would be, and I think a price adjustment, even if it's a small price adjustment, will definitely help your marketing and get it back out in front of people if you've had something that's sitting for a while.
But you also have to take into consideration the seller, right? We're talking to maybe baby boomers who are selling. They don't understand what underpricing is. This is a new trend of today's market. They feel like, okay, let's price it so that we can negotiate. But if you start talking to them about underpricing, that's a whole new trend, and they're going to say, no, we're going to leave money on the table.
I was referencing with the developers more than anything, because currently you had a bunch of properties that sat this whole summer. So why not reduce that price on these new constructions with these developers and create a buzz, a stir? Well,
they've got a margin too that they've got to live by, right? That's how they feed their family. So it's easier, I think, with somebody who's lived in a house for 5 years to talk to them about the emotion of reducing their price. They probably have appreciation built in there. So unless they're taking a hit, and we've represented people before who are taking a hit on what they paid for the home when the market turned, those folks are tougher to get to leave money on the table or walk away from money, right? Because they're walking away from their down payment. They might have to come to the table with money. Builders, they work under margins, and that's how they feed their family. Some of them are like, I'm just done. I don't want to carry it anymore. But there's still some, there's something in it.
They got to keep their banks happy, too.
They got to keep their banks happy.
And you can't just hold on to a property at will, like forever. They start to get nervous if it hasn't sold.
And I think when you're dealing with new construction, too, because there's so many similar properties out there, there's also a conscious effort not to drive that whole market down. So I think that's another reason why they tend to hang on to their pricing more, too.
Now, you see more, you said something about, a family been there for 5 years, they're a little bit emotionally attached, they get offended when they have to drop the price. But generally speaking, even when the market was booming before the crash and post-crash, the luxury market is where you have that gray area that, I've seen houses mispriced significantly in that area more than you do in a $300,000 condo in the West Loop. That's going to be pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
You might have 2-3% wiggle room. You can argue that it was worth a little bit more than that, or you could have gotten a deal slightly better than that. But in the luxury market, you see things moving 10 to 15% off of what they were asking prices or reducing now. I mean, that's a big number.
It's a big number
that you don't see in the traditional marketplace of like the average $300,000-$400,000 home across America.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you, when you're going in to see a seller, and if you're out there trying to sell your property and you have what they would classify as a luxury home, wouldn't you go in preparing them that you might not get what you want? And this could take, number one, it's going to take a lot longer than a normal sale. So I mean, it's essentially, in my opinion, it's nice when you want to go out and buy something like this. You can afford it. You want nice things. That's great for you. But when you're going to sell something like this, seller beware. Is that kind of like do you have to go through counseling here with some of your clients?
A lot of it's counseling, but you generally walk into these things with open eyes, right? So the guys that we've been working with and gals, because we work with both. I don't want to say.
And I'm not talking about not talking about the builders, because they got it down to a science. They know what's happening right away.
And you give them the worst case scenario, right? So you say, hey, here's what I think I could sell it for today.
Right.
Don't expect appreciation. Worst case scenario, you might have to drop at 50, and we'll definitely move it. So that's all laid out, right? You just have to know what the market's doing. Unfortunately, this summer was very slow. So some of the stuff we're sitting on is new construction homes, and we are getting some price reductions, but it wasn't like we're getting a lot of traffic and the feedback was, oh, you're probably priced too high. There was just no traffic. Nobody was coming through. So as you mentioned earlier, the percentage of buyers in this price range is much smaller than the buyers of a $300,000 to $500,000 home.
Well, since we have you sequestered in our room, our studio here, I'm just going to go ahead and ask
Sequestered.
you.
You beat the crap out of that word.
Is the door locked?
I haven't said it in a while, actually.
Sequestered you.
Listen,
Remember
you
that?
focus.
She's abused
So
that
anyway,
word. You cut off sequestered.
how would you feel about us airing our show from one of your luxury listings, especially because
we
you
might be
want
able to sell it.
people to see it?
I will not make it unless you put me in the bathroom with the espresso.
Yes. Would that be so cool? We could go live,
I
Market
demand
Overdrive.
an espresso machine in the bathroom, and I will do the show right from the bathroom.
And we'll take off our shoes.
Okay, yes.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Or we'll wear booties if you like.
Oh, but we could probably arrange that.
You're gonna be.
I'm not taking these things off.
Look at those.
Why would you take these off?
You just got our invitation revoked because you don't know how to act.
I don't even know what this
It's
is.
luxury.
I'm always blowing. I'm always blowing.
Yeah.
Your shoes are ugly. No one
I
cares.
got you invited to the car award, so don't even start.
You got me invited to the car awards.
He emailed me.
Are you kidding me right now,
He's my
Graco?
friend.
First of all, you are lucky you're coming to the Chicago Association of Realtors Gala event with me and my plus one.
You're plus half. The two of you together are plus one.
Yeah, because he plays in the NBA and he's 6'9".
Half and half.
Yes.
Well, look at the
Finally
listen to
somebody
these,
said
look at
it.
These radio Smurfs. Come on.
Smurf, really?
Smurf. Shut up.
So
Smurf.
my friend Dan Wagner, thank you, Dan. I heart you.
Yeah.
Invited us, and then he just made himself available.
Moving on.
Okay, whatever. Okay, so we're doing our show from one of your listings.
We could probably work that out.
TBD.
Yes,
We can
it's
make it
gonna
happen.
be a part. Look, Craig just said yes.
Yes.
How much construction's
Craig
involved?
has been
That's the-
dying to do a
that's the
show
problem.
outside.
It's all
here.
wireless.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just got to
It's
get
all
good
wireless.
hotspots.
The show's been on for 36 minutes. We have 929 people are watching. You're going to
There'll
be
be about-
exposing
there'll be
your
about 4,000 to
Miele
5,000 when this is
espresso
over.
machine from the
There'll be at least
luxury tub.
Yeah, we can do a build up
and
to
then
it.
and then
No
we're gonna
pressure, by the
do
way.
we're gonna
Thank
do
you.
a 3-day show where we're gonna have to actually live in there like Big Brother and see what it's like.
Carla, we're
Wow.
not going to live there.
We are not living there. Don't worry about that. I will not be living anywhere with Karla.
I'm homeless.
I have a hard enough time. I have a hard enough time living with Graco for a vacation. I'm not living anywhere with Karla.
I'm homeless. I'm a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do.
Yeah.
You
There
know
you
what?
go. Do your thing.
Rich had
Look
it.
at you.
He
You just
had
trying
me.
to find a place to sleep.
Sounds like it.
You won, sneaky little devil. Sneaky little Smurf. Sneaky Smurf.
You know what? I don't appreciate you.
And you're wearing blue.
Can you say something? You're wearing blue too.
One of the sites, give me a second here, guys. One of the sites that I thought was
Simmer
pretty
down.
cool, and we were talking off air, and if you guys can talk about that pocket, because it was a mixture of townhomes, single family homes, and I think condominiums, right?
Yeah.
If you guys can touch a little bit about that area, because it's a pretty cool area here in the city, I think our viewers would appreciate that.
Well, it's the homes of River's Edge.
River's Edge?
They're 6 single-family homes along the Chicago River.
Okay, what are the specs on those 6?
They are
4 bedrooms.
roughly about 4,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms. You've got river views, which are pretty awesome, actually. And most people who come back there don't realize that what's back there is there. So you often see crewers, coming down, whether it's a high school or college. Loyola crewers come by. So it's a pretty spectacular site. It is off the beaten path of what the norm is. So this particular developer did 2 38-unit condominium buildings, 11 townhomes, and now he's just finishing up 6 single families that face the river.
Okay. And whereabout is that?
So
It's near
Pocket?
Western and Diversity.
Okay.
And you would never know that
Western
you're...
Diversity, we got Midtown nearby, right? The
Right.
new
Yeah.
Midtown buildings going up. Then we have one of my favorite bowling alleys.
Rock and Ball, so
Yeah.
we're basically right north of Rock and Ball.
Okay. All right.
That's
Yeah,
great.
you never
See?
know you're right in the middle of the city.
Well, that's what people want. They want proximity to the highway. They want amenities, and of
Yeah.
course, you guys are venturing a little bit further west, right? Western used to be that cutoff, and I know you hate me talking about locations, but that's what people
Oh, go
need
ahead.
to
We've been doing it
understand.
the whole show.
Why do
Right.
you not like her talking about location?
He doesn't like me talking at all. I don't
We
even know why I'm
literally-
here.
We literally had 3 people direct message us and asked us, they like the show, but is it always Chicago centric?
It is.
So we do have people that follow us and listen to us, but real estate's it's across the entire country. The same problems that happen in Chicago happen in L.A. and New York. Now, instead of us saying $1 million luxury condo in Pilsen, they're saying $10 million luxury condo in wherever in Manhattan and whatever they get into in LA. But
if somebody's shopping, they need to understand that sometimes you can cross the street over and get a little bit more, square footage for your price point and get a better deal if you're looking for that specific lifestyle, right? Because that's what they're buying these days. They're not buying; they're buying lifestyles. They're buying school proximity. They're buying location. Everybody wants to be.
But that rule goes across the
everywhere,
board.
across the board. So it doesn't matter specifically to us, and where they are focusing their business on is that area. And when you're looking at that specific buyer, that's what they're looking for, right? You got the movie theaters, you got the highway right there. Everybody wants to be close to work, the Loop, or they can get on the highway and go back to O'Hare, or they can get back to Midway. So that's our channel.
Yeah. But if you're buying luxury, you need to have a movie theater in your basement.
You may
Lower level.
But luxury goes even as far as proximity to public transportation.
That's true.
I mean, I
So
can
it's
tell
the
you
same
that
trends, right?
Yeah, I've had condo buildings that we moved, but sometimes you'll get feedback and they'll say, well, I'd like to be 2 blocks closer to the train. Like, really?
Are you kidding me?
Fucking lazy are you?
You're
Did
buying
he just
a-
curse?
He did.
I didn't hear nothing.
Beep,
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't hear nothing.
That's
Don't
okay.
No, sorry.
worry about it, man. We're gonna edit that out.
Just,
Actually, we're gonna
leave that in there.
That's exactly what we're going to showcase. Bring it. But I like the fact that you said that luxury is not necessarily price point. Because if you're looking into a condo.
That's the best thing.
area.
That's the best way to ever
Oh
explain
my
it.
God, are we having a moment?
No,
Wow,
we're
you
not.
guys are.
We're
Me and him
having a
are.
moment. We're
No,
agreeing on
me and
something.
him- me
And it was
him
really-
are.
On your birthday, he's agreeing with me. Can I make my point, please, without you cutting me off and making some amazing statement that I'm gonna make and own it?
Quickly before you forget.
Yes, I forgot. No, seriously, because in the condo category, you can have high assessments, right? In the case of a co-op is going to have maybe $1,000 assessment, and you're really not getting a ton of amenities. It's an older building, it's vintage. You still have not central air, but you're spending a lot of money. But it's still luxury. It's not just luxury because it's the price point, right? But when you're talking about these buyers that want luxury, you're talking about amenities and you're talking about lifestyle. So if somebody's shopping, I just want them to understand the differences. Do you agree?
I agree.
Is that what you were going to say, or you had another most amazing idea?
No, I just, every time I hear the word luxury, I think of expensive. And to me, what's expensive is different from maybe somebody else and somebody else. And so
We could break it down to
but
shoes.
He defined it best. Do
we really need to talk about shoes?
It's things that make it luxury. It's not necessarily the cost. Because you can find 15,000 square foot homes in Kentucky that are barely $800,000. And that can't get you like a 2-bedroom condo in the Gold Coast.
Right.
Or it can, but it's not a very
Right,
magnificent
500,000, or what did he say?
know.
$350,000 home in Indiana was luxury.
Right.
Well, when you
I've
ma-
seen those $500,000 homes in Indiana. Those would be like 1.6
300.
million in like some of our western or northern suburbs.
We
It's
had
like-
friends
it's
come from
amazing.
Indiana come share their stories because there's opportunity everywhere. I'm sorry, you were going to say, Grax?
Well, for me, it's not just the finishes. For me, if I'm buying luxury, I need a little more, I need a little square footage in there too. That's why I was kind of asking earlier, how big are these properties? And 4,000 is fairly large, but it's not
Why would
always
you need
about.
so much square footage?
Gosh, Nick, are you serious?
I mean, if we're paying that much money,
You're like the bully.
Right?
I mean, were you a bully in school? Like
actually,
when you were in grammar school?
actually, he was.
No, I
we
wasn't
have a
actually-
conversation
I
about
was
this all
actually
the
the
time.
person that picked on the bullies. I never
The
picked on
bully
anybody.
bully.
I was the bully
He's
bully.
the bully
Yeah.
bully.
The
I
bully's
was always
bully.
protecting the innocent ones and then picking on a bully.
Did you really think you were walking into all this craziness, Rich? I mean,
I did not.
he's going to excuse himself. Okay, I'm out.
We're definitely not doing that on-site location
Yeah,
thing.
we blew that. Right? Well, she blew it with, can I sleep there for 4 days? We barely got him to say, yes, we can work it out. Can I stay there for 4 days? It's like, there
As
it
they
goes.
say in
Well, now it's 4
Espanol,
days.
I've been kicked off from better
Oh, you'll see.
places.
You'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see.
Excuse you.
For instance, Nick's shoes are luxury to him,
Right.
Whoa, Rich.
not
There you
to
go. Not to
someone
you.
else.
Oh, that's to me. Say it, please.
So I
I'm
think
begging
luxury
you.
could be personal.
Sanchez, I need a picture of those shoes.
I need to. I gotta take a
Very,
picture of those shoes. Let me see the
very,
shoes.
very true. That is true. They could be luxury to me.
And
not
here I
someone
am
else.
complaining about having to buy my kids some expensive shoes.
What he meant by that was they're luxury to me, but insane to you.
I don't care. I'm not ever gonna spend that kind of cash on clothing. So
I didn't buy them. I
doesn't
stole
matter.
them.
He probably did.
At the circus?
Hey, it's my
What?
show.
Hey,
man.
I'm sorry.
Wow, I love him. I love him.
That was
Can
great.
you please come back? I like you.
I need that sound bite, okay?
We need all of those. You've been on a roll. I love it. Usually everybody's just like men loving him, so his head gets really, really big.
So what's next, guys, then for your market, for your luxury marketing team? Aside from these slight
Single-family
reductions,
homes.
is there any new projects,
We've got
whether
some
it's out in the
condos coming
burbs
up.
or in the city?
Again, for us, it's mainly in the city. We've got an 8-unit project coming up on the 700 block of Melrose. We've seen that neighborhood change extensively. The company itself, we've got a great project called the Hayden coming up in, what's the
West
address
Loop.
there? In the West Loop. So that is just kicking off the ground. And if you look at those square footage pricing, Tim Sheehan and Mark Ickes were able to get the highest price point per square foot in this particular project. And it was all about presentation and what, again, back to amenities and square footage, as you said earlier, that they're
Size
offering.
matters.
So these are going to be condos?
These will be condos.
Condos, okay.
Yeah.
Square
I want to
footage.
say it was 28 condos within this project, and they're 50% sold, and they're just putting a shovel in the ground
Wow.
now.
You said it. You said something very important when it comes to all things luxury, whether it's real estate or cars or watches or fragrances. Presentation. You know, someone has to walk in and really feel it. You know, and it's sometimes it's as simple as just lighting can actually change the way something really looks.
Immensely, yeah.
Did you just
paint.
turn realtor on us?
Well, you know, it's because there's been times when you see a property that's been sitting around, but then, you know, if you have any kind of construction experience or you know anything about craftsmanship, you walk in and you're like, why has this thing been sitting around? There's some money put into this, you know, and then you see something that moved immediately and you're kind of like, you know, get past the cool lights and there's really nothing much there. And so you literally see things moving because of the way of call it the marketing and the presentation. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that luxury was worth the price in some cases, and in some case, some people have undermarketed or undersold or underpresented a magnificent project, and that unfortunately affects that poor seller or builder or whoever that might be. So, you know, I guess we do go back to making sure you have the right marketing team, right salesperson, all presenting the property if you are a lister.
It amazes me that if you go to some suburban locations primarily, and the agent will say, oh, it's on Lockbox, go ahead and walk through. Why is no offense, but why is a broker getting paid? I mean, my job is
Call
to
it as you see it. I
to
think I
show
agree.
you all of the things that this particular home has to offer. If it's a 2-bedroom condo or a 1-bedroom condo, if it's a 4,000 square foot home or 7,000 square foot home, my job is to point everything out to you without being over talkative about it, and make sure that you walk out with something tangible. We hand you a nice brochure that is well presented, so you walk out and it may end up in the circular file, but at least you walk out and you feel like, I understand what they're doing
Your
there.
questions are answered, and then if there are things you're confused about, he's a master at helping people work out uncertainties.
I spent a year and a half, maybe even close to 2 years, looking in Oak Brook and Hinsdale, which are for those that don't know, it's like western suburb, nice neighborhoods. And it was amazing the variances of agents that I would run into to look at these properties. Now, obviously, I was working with my agent, but then some agents would take the time out to walk us through the house, explain all these details that I couldn't see physically, but they were done. And to me, that was like much like getting delivered on a luxury car. You don't know what every button is, no matter what car you're buying. And they take the time to show you these things so you understand what you're getting into. I mean, it's why you're paying the money you're paying for it. But then there was people that just dropped the lock boxes, and you're walking in there and you're like, really? I mean, she couldn't be here for this? I have 1,000 questions right now. And I guess I'm just going to walk out of here. And that's that.
And you move on to the next.
Move on to the next.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that.
Well, I think it depends also on the type of product that you're selling too. I mean, if it's luxury and it's new and you have some technology there that you want to showcase, a lot of people don't understand it. It is cool to have somebody tour and guide you through that. But if it's a standard property like a ranch, right, it's gonna look like right, the type of product that we have, like a bungalow or a ranch product or a colonial home, they're all going to look the same, kind of have the same floor plans because they were built around the same time. So sometimes, you know what, it's better if the family comes in there and and it's able to be there, because some families don't really like you to be hovering over them. They want to experience the property. They want to walk through it. So it takes a knowledgeable realtor to know when to back off and let that person enjoy their experience there. But for the most part, yeah, in luxury, you would expect that, tour guide so that someone can walk you through the amenities. And it's for sure all about the lifestyle.
I had a single-family home that we sold near Wrigley, and we ended up selling it to a ball player. But he came in with an entourage of 8 people, and I didn't know who I was selling the house to.
Me.
Because they came in and went like this.
I come with 8 people every day.
They all took off
Wait,
in
you
their
didn't
own
know
directions.
who the baseball player was?
I can't tell you, though. They all went off in their own directions.
But when the baseball player walked into your door, you knew who he was.
I didn't know who he was.
See?
I don't follow baseball.
You see that?
Let him finish
Please
his
come
story.
back.
Let him
Please
finish
come
his
back.
story.
Same thing with the basketball.
As a hockey player, I'd probably know who he
Well,
was.
there you go. She doesn't know anybody in any sport.
But they pick on me all the time, and I hate it because I'm usually the
don't
girl
either.
in the room who doesn't know sports.
She
but
doesn't
I
even know
really
who Michael
appreciate.
Jordan is.
Shut up,
Well,
Nick.
she's got to know who that is. He's the
Please
guy
don't
who
listen to
invented.
him.
Best quarterback ever.
Yeah,
Please don't
thank
listen
you.
to him. I really. Oh.
So go ahead. They all split up. One about their.
They
It's
all
not like you
split
told
out,
us the
and
address.
I ended up with a guy who was actually his sports agent, and that's who I negotiated the deal with. They just took off, and I had no idea who was who, but he was the one that wanted all the details. These guys were just looking for, room sizes and finishes and
Where they're going to sleep.
where they're going to sleep.
It's
and
like our friends when we go somewhere.
can we turn this bedroom into a closet?
So he had his entourage shopping with him.
He did, yeah. So it was he and his
Was
wife.
it Chris Bryant?
His wife's friend and
Chris
his
Bryant
wife,
lives by
a
Wrigley.
designer,
Can you let him
a
talk?
broker,
Oh, I really want to know who it is.
and like 2 other random folks.
Yeah, Karla, I think, sold a property to
Can we go back
one
to
of the
who it is?
Cubbies, and she didn't even know who the guy was.
Yeah.
I text you guys. I was like, who is this guy? In whatever.
He's only worth 140 million as of last week.
I found out
not that-
after, but
he's
I
not
didn't know
that
who he
good.
was
Yeah.
initially.
You tell me later.
I can tell you later.
Yes, I'm excited.
So, fun question. If you had, outside of the home you live in, let's just assume you love that place right now, but if you had to pick one thing that you would consider luxury, or what would be like your dream scenario without, an $80 million mansion in Malibu, something within realism, within realistic
Scope.
approach, what would be the ideal luxury item for you
Within Chicago.
within Chicago? Because you know Chicago better than anywhere else. Let's face that.
Ooh.
It doesn't have
By
to
the
be.
lake?
It doesn't have to be the location as much as what things would you want that to you says, okay, I'm living in a lap of luxury the way I want to. And you're gonna get the next question, so at least start thinking now.
Great master bath. I don't spend a lot of time at home, so the kitchen doesn't
Mean nothing to you.
mean anything. You need to have it for it to be luxury, but
So like a galley kitchen. That's all you need.
So it's not a top.
that's probably all I need. Yeah. But great master suite.
How many car garage?
2.
2.
That's all I need. I have a
you go.
1-car garage now.
I love it. Simple man.
Simple
See, that's
man. Okay,
awesome.
go
Just
ahead.
somewhere to sleep, somewhere to bathe.
What you got?
What for me? What's
What would be
luxury
the
for
idea?
me?
What would be the
Oh, boy.
ideal
Here
luxury
it
where you
goes.
could say, "This is it. I can wind it out like this."
This closet isn't big
And this
enough.
is-
He
this
wants
just
a
where
dance
I
room.
will never. Will you
A
say I
yoga
will
room.
never
She wants a strobe
complain
light.
about my residence again? This is luxury to the max.
No, for me, kitchen.
You want a
because
strobe light in your bathroom?
Oh, she
What?
cooks.
And not so much they cook, but the biggest thing for me is waking up peacefully, feeding my dogs because we home cook their meals, and having
Wait,
my
wait,
coffee.
Wait.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
luxury.
I know.
Why is your dog
That's
living more
luxury.
luxury than me?
My dogs eat better than I do.
And me.
What kind of dogs are they?
Unbelievable.
A Japanese Chin Shih Tzu
Okay.
and a Pekingese.
And
Okay,
you
so
home
you let
cook
it-
their meals.
Right, but we do it in big batches, and then we freeze portion of it, and then.
They
So
meal
wait,
prep.
so the kitchen's
Yeah.
important.
My poor
So you
kids.
said, okay.
For me, it's the kitchen, just because that's where I start my day, and I make my coffee. I don't really go to Starbucks. I don't,
A lot of buyers always buy
How many
according to
bedrooms?
kitchens, right?
How many bedrooms? What other not weird, but
I mean,
like
I'm
extravagant
simple.
thing
I
would you
mean,
need?
if to be really extravagant for me, I would want an ideal walk-in closet that's about maybe 12 by 12. That would make me happy because I have over 200 dresses.
Okay.
I'm not a shoe person. I'm a dress person. So,
I was going to say maybe like a dance studio because she dances samba.
yeah.
Maybe a dance studio. Okay, cool.
That's what I was thinking. I would represent that purchase for you. What about you, Grox? That's interesting.
I need
don't-
3,000 square feet, 5 bedrooms,
For
swimming
what?
pool. I'm joking.
Come on over.
What are you?
I don't know.
Who cares,
I really
right?
don't know.
I mean,
I'm
do you
actually in
even have a home?
I'm actually in the process of building one of these things right now, so I'm figuring it out as we go.
I want it by the lake, close proximity to water. It's what I love. I don't care what it looks like inside. Yes, I do. Anyway, wrap it up.
You do it.
No, it says Nick. Wrap it up. Tell Nick to wrap it up. I like telling you what to do. Wrap it up.
All right. Well, that was it. I want to say thanks to our guests. Hopefully, you guys had some fun today.
It was fun.
And you obviously can follow this show, All Things Luxury Today, luxury real estate, predominantly here in Chicago. You could follow the show on marketoverdrive.com or, of course, go to our Facebook page /Market Overdrive. And we are on Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel will have this as well as our podcast all cleaned up with all of the swear words taken out. It's all
the
good.
bloopers are
It's all good. All the bloopers taken out.
Nice job.
And don't
Doing
forget,
so well, too.
we are now on the show every Thursday at 2 p.m. Today was actually our first Thursday that we started, but we'll be back here next Thursday at 2 p.m. See
And
you guys
very
then.
soon, we're going to be at one of your locations.
Yes.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.
See you
Thanks
guys
for
next
having
week.
us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.